with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is.
I was afraid, I didn't know what to do. A lot of us be coming in it.
And what I'll say was amazing to me was
Season 2. Welcome back to the L3 Perspective. My name is Glenn Davis. As you know, I'm sitting here with my co-host, Cameron Macias.
Coach Cam.
L3 Perspective, as you know, we talk about life, love, leadership.
As we've talked about in the past, like, love, share, subscribe. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Because at the end of the day, we do it for you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Season 2 of the L3 Perspective. We are back. Thank you for tuning in. As you know, my name is Glenn Davis. I'm excited to introduce today's guest. But before I do, I'm going to toss it over to Cam, and we'll get right to it.
Yes, sir. So as you guys already know, like, love, share, subscribe. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. At the end of the day, we do it for y'all. And so if you're not giving us any feedback, then we'll just keep doing whatever. And, y'all want to watch. So that being said, we're super excited about our guest today. And then we're going to get into it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I have to read this. A community service champion. And after kind of small talking with them, I could see why you have that title. A community service champion, Larry Bluford Jr. was born in New Orleans. Born in New Orleans, Louisiana, but was raised in Fairfield, California, and lived here almost 50 years. Iron worker by trade, motivational speaker, business owner, family man, and a man who turned his life around after almost losing his life to the system. Married for 29 years. Shout out to you. Right on. Married for 29 years, two children, and one grandchild. Founder of Operational Thug, which stands for the Harvest Unit Gathering Souls, while doing a 5-year prison sentence for a crime he didn't commit. While in prison from March 1999 to June 2004, he learned how to weld, came home, and within 5 days had a career job as a union iron worker, where he still works today in his 20th year, but no longer in the field. He's in the office as a project manager with the same company he started with. He came home in 2004. He vowed to give back to a community he took so much from. Operation Thugs was an organization directed at reaching troubled youth. He speaks to youth in the same juvenile hall he did time in, and also goes into the prisons to speak to the adults. In 2014, he took a break from ministry to focus on family, and in 2020, he reemerged on the scene with REAL, which stands for Relevant, Ethical, Authentic, Legendary, a community outreach organization that loves to collaborate with other organizations to give back, from community cleanups to backpack giveaways to Juneteenth celebrations to toy drives. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bluford Jr. First and foremost, appreciate your time. Thank you for being on the platform, man.
Absolutely.
And definitely salute to you for what you have gone through in life and what you're doing and giving back to the community, because men like yourself are very much needed, not just in Solano County, but across the globe. So we give you your flowers, take our hats off to you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that greatly.
Yes. So born in New Orleans,
yes,
Louisiana, now in Fairfield, California. Real quick, talk to us about REAL.
Real came about when basically I was trying to think of a Facebook page.
Okay.
The name of a Facebook page. Gotcha. So it was very kind of just happened type thing, right?
Happenstance.
Yeah.
One day I was thinking about naming it Real Fairfield, right?
Okay.
But I just didn't want to leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to define what real meant to me, because everybody talks about their real, right? So I wanted to separate what everybody else is talking about and made it purposeful as far as what I wanted it to stand for. So relevant, ethical, authentic, and legendary is basically the message that I wanted to put out there. So me being proud of and loving where I'm from, Fairfield, I put Fairfield behind it. Then I just put it out there and decided I was going to brand it and start selling merch with it. And then it kind of just took off, took a life of its own. It just kind of just blew up. And, because other people seen the value in it, and other people love their city as much as I do. So they started to, people wear what they identify with, and that's kind of how that became. But I just didn't want to just make it about merchandise.
Right.
I also wanted to. I'm a community guy, so I wanted to turn it into more of a organization that goes beyond just clothing. I wanted us to be known for just giving back to the community, and so that's the way I reemerged with Real.
Nice.
It was the Not Like Us T-shirts that blew up recently.
Yeah.
So how'd you come up with that?
So I basically, the song Not Like Us was probably one of my favorite songs
Okay.
to this day. And then one day I was just sitting there saying that I was talking to one of my friends, and they were saying, man, you need to make something with that saying.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out what I was going to do with it. So one day I just took this font and I started playing with it.
Yeah.
And then I came up with something that popped. And I showed my friend, and
Yeah.
it was like, oh, dude, that's sick. He said, you need to take the O and put a logo right there. And I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. Let me see what that looks like. And I slapped the cowboy, because I'm a Cowboy fan.
Okay.
Slapped
That's
the
how it
Cowboy
started.
logo on there. And then I just put it out there. And man, that thing took fire.
Nice.
Because then people started doing, the high schools is around here locally is the ones that really got it popping, because, I was doing Vanden. Vanden went crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fairfield High went crazy.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then you started getting all surrounding schools, and then people started getting colleges and
Nice.
their jobs. I
Yeah.
had people coming from that worked at UPS. They want the UPS
Oh, that's
symbol.
cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it everybody, other union guys wanted their union symbol
Yeah.
right there. So it just kind of that thing, that's my best seller right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so but that's how that happened.
Yeah. And that really blew up from like an opportunity as well. Cause I followed you in the pages and stuff. And one of the things they talked about, or you talked about, was like when someone tried to take your idea. And then, and the loyalty that the community had to you,
That's
because
crazy.
he posted like the messages. Someone was like, "Yo, someone's trying to take your design," and the person was like, "Nah, I already know where this came from," and so they let him know immediately. And then it was through the school. The
Yeah, the
school didn't know
principal.
any better, and so they had got it done. And so, but that turned into an opportunity.
It did. All as well as in well as how I feel. I thought somebody legitimately tried to jack me. You know what I mean? Jack my design. And so when I woke up, I had sold several shirts with the Falcon.
Yeah.
And so when someone they told me, hey man, I'm seeing your shirt is all over campus at Fairfield High. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Right.
I thought it was an over exaggeration but then I woke up that next morning and there was a group picture.
Oh, it was the staff.
Yeah, it was all the teachers had them on. I said, wait a minute, I sold a lot of shirts, but not that many. So
Where's
immediately-
the money from that?
Right. So immediately I screenshotted it, threw it on Facebook. I said, man, hey, basically look what somebody did. I don't know who did this.
Gotcha.
And like he said, the loyalty of, the people that support me,
Yeah.
I guess people were texting and calling the school, and the principal wound up calling me. So I
Yeah.
got a call and I seen it, but I didn't notice the number. So I
Yeah.
didn't even answer it. And
Yeah.
then they called again, and I was just like, I thought it was like a telemarketer or
Yeah,
something,
sure.
right?
The spam, boy.
So then I listened to then they left a message. I
remember that,
And then
yeah.
I realized it was the principal, basically said, I feel embarrassed. I didn't know the owner of this
Right.
was right here. So then immediately she offered to come sell my shirts at the school and come to the games and sell shirts.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah, she was real apologetic, and I feel it was an innocent thing. You know what I mean?
sure.
It wasn't nothing malicious. My only thing, and I didn't even press it. My thing is because she said somebody gave it to her. And what I want to know,
Is who
what
it
I not what I want to know, but what I want in my mind, I didn't want to put that pressure on her.
For sure.
Who gave that to you?
Yeah.
Because everybody knew that was my design.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now I don't care if the phrase "not like us" is not mine.
Right.
Correct.
So I don't care what you put out there, just don't use mine.
Right.
Yeah.
And and so it just in the back of my head, it made me wonder, man, who gave this to her knowing it was mine?
Yeah.
And then behind that, somebody tried to boycott me. They tried to start a boycott because
Oh, wow.
yeah, they felt like I was accusing Fairfield High of stealing, which I was.
He's like,
not necessarily the school, because
Right.
the last thing I would think it was the principal.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I just thought it was an individual that did it.
Yeah.
And this teacher at Fairfield High felt, oh, you need to. I'm boycotting Real Fairfield until you
Publicly
give it-
apologize or something.
publicly apologize, and it was something else. Well, it backfired on him because that's when it blew up because everybody that when you boycott someone, let me check this guy out. They might have not even known who I was, but
Right.
then all of a sudden, I'm starting to getting all these new customers just coming out of nowhere,
Yeah.
strictly out of curiosity. So what he was trying to get people to give me less business, he actually helped me get more business. Because I had so much business that my line was just out the door, you know,
Yeah.
as far as my orders.
Right.
And it was right after that moment. So shout out to the cat that
Yeah.
tried
Yeah.
to
I feel like in the community, you know, when you are relevant, ethical, authentic, it ties into the legendary piece, right? Like just kind of sitting back and hearing you know, share that whole situation that happened, right? Like that's, you know, we often talk about legacy, but that's legendary when you have a community that can stand alongside of you in the midst of the storm.
Yeah, I thought that was real
Yeah,
dope.
that's good. So shout out to Solano County for that.
Yeah, they've been really, my community has been really, really supportive over me.
Yeah.
With me over the years, even when I was doing ministry, they really supported me.
Right.
It was tough in the beginning when I did Operation Thugs because
Yeah.
when you think of the name Operation Thugs, you don't think of church.
Right.
And so a lot of people,
yeah.
a lot of people was like, that's too worldly. We don't want that here.
Yeah.
And so they kind of
Too against the grain type stuff.
yeah, so
Yeah.
they made me, I'm going to my pastor, asking him to, I've never been part of a ministry, much less run one.
Right.
So I'm just asking him for some guidance, some leadership, help me. And they didn't want to touch it. I gave them vision, mission
Yeah.
on paper, everything.
You gave him the whole outline.
Gave them a manila envelope. Check this out,
Yeah.
man. And they wouldn't mess with me.
Damn.
But what did happen is other churches started messing with me. So by them seeing, it took 3 years, by them seeing other churches support me, they was like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll support him too. You know, and they wound up coming around, and that was cool.
Yeah.
But you know, I
You still
understand.
rather have your own church, like support you,
I
right?
understand. Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. And that, and I think they kind of felt some type of way, like, man, all these other churches are supporting them, and we're not supporting them.
Yeah.
And so they wound up coming around. But when they did, they wanted me to come under the umbrella of the church, and I didn't want to do that
yeah,
because
that makes sense.
I had members at one point. At the highest point, I had members from probably almost 20 different churches. So if I brought the ministry under one church,
They would
but
all
if they're
now
another
belong to them.
denomination,
Yeah.
Right.
oh well, I'm cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I told them I didn't want to do that. I said I'd rather partner
makes sense.
than to come under the umbrella. So give me the freedom to
And it
do
keeps
what
you
I
the
want to
rights
do.
too.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a whole nother journey. But yeah,
Gotcha. That's interesting. So I actually, it's funny how this all came about because I know you and Larry connected, and
It's more me like stalking him for a second. Like, hey, bro, come on the podcast. Did I
Yeah.
comment on this thing? Come on the podcast.
gotcha. But I actually seen Larry. So he was one of the panel speakers at
Yeah.
a teen summit, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember just something I was sharing with him is that his responses were not like everybody else's.
Yeah.
It was definitely real. It was definitely authentic, and you could tell that. And so the question that I have for you, like, so I have a deep passion for youth and youth development, right? What was it based off of your journey? Like, what was it that made you want to not just give back to the community, but specifically like pour into the next generation?
because I had so much trouble as a youth. I think my first arrest was when I was like 12. And the first time I've been in juvenile hall, it was when I was 13. And so I became a ward of the state. And so I was group homes, Foul Springs Boys Ranches. I was just all over the place. And I remember one of the things that were the common denominator of all them young men in juvenile hall and all them men in prison was they didn't have a good relationship with their father. They didn't know their father, or they didn't have a positive male figures in their lives.
Yeah.
And I know that's what I was missing, right? As a youth, I remember the pastors coming into juvenile hall. But to me, not to say that what they was doing wasn't effective, but to me, these guys, I didn't feel connected to them. I was like, how do you know what I'm going through? How do you know what I'm going through as a youth? So it didn't seem genuine to me. So it would go one end out to other. And I remember sitting there in juvenile hall feeling that way, like I don't feel any connection with this cat. So I felt like if I went back to the same place right here in Fairfield, the juvenile hall I was in, and not only talk to the guys, the young men about what I went through, but I actually sat where you sat. So it validates me to them, like, okay, he's lived this life before.
For sure.
And I always tell them, I've been your age, you've never been mine. You know,
That's a good one.
what I did sitting in these chairs
Yeah.
ultimately led to me continuing to live a life that was very hazardous and wound up almost costing me my life and going to prison.
Yeah.
Because had I got what they was trying to give me, which was 29 years, I would almost be getting out right now. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, when I was here, before I went to prison, I was a bad influence. Taught people how to do crime.
Yeah.
Influenced people to do drugs.
Yeah.
And to me, when I came home, while I was in prison, I had a vision of like a desert bed, right, with cracks in it and just weeds everywhere. And those weeds represent all the corruption and all the just the bad leadership that because I've always been a leader, but not necessarily in a positive way.
Gotcha.
So I had a vision of coming home and using my energy and my time, effort, and experience, pulling up those bad seeds that I planted years and years ago and replacing them with good seed. You know, I felt I had an obligation to give back to my community because I had taken so much from them. The police was always my enemy. No accountability. It's always the white man.
Right.
I was on that type of hype. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're a criminal,
Right.
there's a fence line. You got the law and then you got the criminal.
Right.
So I'm looking at the police as my enemies because they're trying to stop whatever I'm trying to do. So naturally, I'm growing up with that rhetoric of, you know, police are, you know, the white man's always trying to hold me down when it was me holding myself down the entire time. And so I just wanted to use my time to really speak to the kids and let them know, man, the music y'all listen to, the stuff they glorify, because I was there. You know, I used to rap, and I would try to become what I'm rapping, just so I wouldn't be looked at as a studio gangster.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wanted to.
Want to be real.
I wanted to be real. I always wanted to be authentic, and sometimes that wasn't a good thing, especially on that side, because I was willing to. I didn't value my life, and for a long time, I didn't even value my life to the point that I even hated the color of my skin when I was younger. You know, I hated the way I looked, and if I don't even like myself, and I see another brother, how much more easily is it not to like you either?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it was a whole bunch of self-work. It was a whole transformation thing that had to go on when I was in prison, because one thing I didn't want to do is come back the same person I was when I came in. And I just had a new family. Like, I got married in 95.
Yeah.
August of 95, right? I caught this case, attempted murder case, in July of 96.
Yeah.
So I'm still a newlywed.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I didn't even know if my marriage is going to survive
Yeah,
this.
I remember
because-
reading that on when you posted about it a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, and I was like, oh man, he was like just got married and then went to
Yeah.
prison.
Yeah. So I fought my case for like 3 years. So I wound up getting out on bail in January of '97. And I was thinking I was going to beat the case because, you know, I want to say I'm innocent, but I want to put an asterisk by that. So when I say I got convicted of a crime that I didn't commit, which a kid got shot that night. He's still in a wheelchair to this day. I did not pull that trigger. I was being blamed for being the trigger man. My co-defendants actually were going to testify and say I was the one who shot him.
Oh, my
When one of my
goodness.
co-defendants was the actual shooter.
Yeah.
So they conspired together to say, hey, let's just say he did it. And
We can get off.
right. Because I was on bail, they were still in jail. And so I'm fighting my case from the outside. They're fighting, well, they're not even fighting. They're just
Yeah.
saying this is what we're going to do.
Conspiring.
At the end of about 2 years, 9 months, they was trying to give me 29 years as a deal. And 3 days before trial, they come and say, hey, we'll give you 7 with 85. And to me, I didn't want to do a day.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I didn't shoot nobody. But the accountability I have to own up to is that, yeah, I didn't shoot nobody that night. I did pistol whip somebody and robbed them. But as a married man, I shouldn't even been there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I have to take the
Yeah.
accountability that, yeah, I'm innocent of the crime.
Yeah.
Of that specific one,
But
but not
I
the
was
behaviors.
guilty
Yeah.
of being there.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
for a long time, probably about my entire time in prison and probably about 5, 6, 7 years after I got home, I was in a victim mindset.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they did this to me. They
Right.
did this to me. But no, they didn't come knock on my door and get me out of bed and accuse
Right.
me of a crime.
Yeah.
That I was with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, in this world, guilty by association. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm not the one who pulled the trigger, but I was there. I was the one who jumped it all off. So I had to take accountability and be like, hold on, I can't claim complete innocence.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I wasn't in my bed. I was there. I was a co-conspirator, if you will. Nobody told anybody to shoot nobody. We
Right.
just... It was a little bit of animosity. The guys that were in there were responsible for killing one of the guys, one of the guys I was with. And so when we seen them in the garage, I wanted to just do something just because it was them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I said,
Right, yeah.
I said, I'm gonna just go mess with them and take their money. You know, so they were shooting dice in the garage, and I
Yeah.
went in there and basically told everybody to lay everything down. And one of the guys, the guy that got shot, unfortunately, he stood up and wanted to challenge me. And in my mind, I'm like, why would you challenge me when I got a gun? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Is it?
It's a real Superman
And the
complex.
money that he had,
Yeah.
he only had like $80.
Oh, you're like, bro, it ain't worth dying over.
You know, when after we didn't find it out till after the fact, but you really putting your life in jeopardy for $80. This kid had a scholarship to go play ball.
Oh.
He's now in a wheelchair. He wound up going bad on drugs. So I really feel bad about what happened to him. But initially, this is how I thought I was toast. Initially, the victim was even saying I shot him.
Oh, wow.
I had the victim and two of my co-defendants. So outside looking in, I look guilty.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't until I seen his brother on the street,
Uh-huh.
and I said, "Hey man, I was going to pay my pager bill," and I said, "Bro,
Pager bill.
you need to go tell your brother that I didn't shoot him, man."
Yeah.
I said, I told them who shot him. I said, I'm just as mad at him as y'all is. I did not shoot your brother. So when we went to another preliminary hearing, the dude came in a wheelchair, and they started asking him what he said previously in court,
Yeah.
and he kept saying, "I don't recall." I don't recall. So this guy right here, you're saying you don't recall you saying he shot you.
Right.
Because he was saying he was running outside and he looked back and he seen me with the gun. Who's gonna be looking back at a gun? You know what I'm saying? That was a BS story. But I thought by him changing his testimony, it discredited him. So I'm thinking, oh, case is won.
For sure. You would think.
Yeah.
I would think, but instead, They said, okay, we'll drop the attempted murder and all the other 7 felonies, and we'll convict you for attempted robbery, which is 3 years, and then gun enhancement, which was 4 years.
Yeah.
And so that's what they wind up charging me for what I admitted to.
Okay.
So to get the gun out of my hand, I basically had to tell my side of the story and basically tell them, yeah, I couldn't just say, oh yeah, I was just sitting there and
I just came by, said hi, and walked away.
yeah. So I had to
give him
admit,
something.
I had to give him something to not get the gun.
For
sure.
The whole goal was to get the gun out of my hand.
Yeah, for sure.
And to get the gun out of my hand, I had to tell him something.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that wound up backfiring on me because, okay, so since you said
Yeah.
you was gonna rob him, since you said you had the gun but you gave it away, we're gonna get you for that.
Yeah.
So they wound up giving me that 7 years, and that was tough.
Yeah. So that's just thinking about mindset. From going to the current situation, right? Newly married, potentially facing, 20 plus years, like going through all that. Fast forward, you do some time, you come out, you're involved in the community. Like, where's your mindset at now? As far as like what you're doing and where you're going the next 5 to 10 years.
My mindset now is just I'm at the end of my career, and my 9 to 5 really takes a lot out of what I want to do, and so my focus is if I was retired, I would have so much time to do so much more and give so much more.
Right.
And so my mindset right now is just focusing on finishing strong as far as I'm concerned, retiring my wife, and then focusing on my grandson, and then really just focus on building real and just continue to build more relationships with local communities, and keep finding creative ways to give back.
Okay. Gotcha. Is there anyone in particular in Solano County that you would like to partner with to achieve some of those goals?
Jamila, for sure. She's the first one that comes to mind. I do a lot of work with David Durf in Vacaville.
Okay.
He has Hope Dealers.
Okay.
Oh,
They
yeah,
call him
I see you guys do
Wordsmith.
that,
Yeah. Me and him, he helped me start Operation Thugs back in I can't remember when we started that. It was 2007 or so officially, and then we became a nonprofit later. But he's helped me build the foundation, and we still work together today. Matter of fact, we got a toy drive coming up on
Okay.
Christmas Day. We have a little block party on Phoenix Drive every year on Christmas Day. So that's so much fun. I personally don't celebrate Christmas,
Okay.
but just because I don't personally celebrate Christmas doesn't mean I can bring smiles and joy to people that do. You know what I'm saying?
So doesn't mean you have to be a Debbie Downer.
Yeah. I love the festivity. I love all the smiles and the joyous part of Christmas. I just don't like the greed part, and a lot of commercialism and
for
people
sure.
still paying debt from last year's Christmas.
Oh,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? That's the part I really don't like. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's a lot of people struggling. So this is gonna, at least for a day, bring some smiles on people's faces.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, Cam actually mentors someone in the juvenile hall.
Oh,
And-
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep. So yeah.
Okay.
So I mentor him through ARC. So
Okay.
Julie Hill and Damon. Yeah. So I mentor him there, and it's been real interesting because I grew up with a single mom, only child. I grew up in the Bay Area, and I was into some mischief too. And I was lucky enough that we had the means where my mom moved me to Sacramento to graduate high school. And granted, even there, I was getting into mischief, but I was able to graduate and join the Air Force and all that. So, but it's interesting to hear, a different perspective on how some people grew up. Foster care, city to city, hotel rooms, drugs, all that type of stuff. And it's when you drive through any city, Fairfield, Vallejo, Vacaville, wherever, you're just driving through, but then you meet people who maybe like grew up there, and then not only did they grow up there, they grew up, kind of scraping by, and you're just like, man, like, it's a different perspective to see that, and it's good for me, perspective wise as well, because with my 5 kids, I'm just like, you guys are so lucky, like, and like, because when I went the first time we met, it was, one of the first questions he asked was, are you gonna like come here like 3 times and then stop coming? Because that's what happened before. And I was like, literally all this kid wants me to do is show up. Nice. If I can't be here, call. If I show up, say I'm gonna show up. Like, if I tell him we're gonna have lunch when he goes on furlough, actually that's literally all this dude wants. And it's crazy how, I think we all try and teach our kids that. It's like, hey, just showing up a lot of times is all people want. Man. And it's hard to know that unless you really hear it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I just noticed something that after you said it, that all 3 of us were raised by single moms.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to us.
Yeah.
Man.
Shout out to mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So our moms will actually be here at the grand opening. We were driving yesterday or the other day, and I said, "Hey, your mom's coming to the grand opening?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, my mom too." And I said, "We gotta."
Yeah.
Shout out our moms, because he grew up in Philly. I grew out in the Bay, but there's so many similarities to just like how we grew up, just in that environment, right?
I remember, like, as I was reading your bio, like, it took me back to the place of, like, it made me think of my mom, number one, and like just some of the things that we went through, as kids, like, from homeless to living in certain shelters and just navigating through those challenges, right? Living in the projects, like all of that. And I left my city at 17 and joined the military. And when I was in basic training, 2 days before graduating, I got into a fight. And I remember sitting down, they call it CQ. I remember sitting down in the office in this room by myself. And they it was a mind game that they were, one piece of it was a mind game. But they had me sit in this room for like 45 minutes. And I remember I was sitting there, I was like, man, like, I left my city to get out of my environment. And I ended my career before I even started it. You know what I mean? And part of that goes back to something that you said earlier, as far as like not having that male figure that was present to genuinely and authentically pour into me. And I didn't know that's what I was missing until years later.
Right.
And it's like, when I think about why I am intentional about being in the community and pouring into the younger generation is for that, because some people, like the guy in or like his mentee in Juvenile Hall, they just want you to show up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what you said earlier, I've lived your age, you haven't lived mine. Right. And so just the power in that sentence,
I got to use that next time
goes beyond. Right. And it's like, it's so many of the youth are reaching out, don't really know what they need. Right. But like, it's men like us that can stand in that gap and pull them up. And if it wasn't for my instructor, he said, "Hey, I don't know your situation." And this is almost verbatim, in 2000. He said, "Hey, I don't know your situation. I don't know where you're from. We're not going to kick you out. I recommend when you get to your first base to pick up boxing." And that was the thing that saved my career. That was the thing that gave me, that was filling some of the holes, to kind of get a firm foundation, right? I still almost got kicked out for fighting a couple years later, but at some point it clicked, but it was like, I was trying to, I was just walking around with a mask that I didn't even know that it was a mask, right? I was just this inner city kid from Philly that was like, you're not going to talk to me. It doesn't matter who you are. But it was I had to peel back those layers to deal with some of that trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it took for 3 specific men in my career that took me under their wing. Right. And so when I say in the beginning, like, we salute you, like, that's the reason why we salute you, because it's, people like those men and yourself who see that, who live it. And it's like, hey, I'm not only going to be relevant, I'm not only going to be, obviously it's tying the ethics, but authentic and legendary. Yeah. Right. That means something to a lot of people, and it may not click until 20 years later. Yeah.
True.
Right,
so, with me and G being military, we hear a lot about like deployments and things like that. Right. So, being in prison right after you're married, I mean, like what type of burden is that like? Not just like for you, but like for your wife. Like what are some of like the main memories you have, you know, that you think about when it comes to that? Because you've been together so long. You know, that's a trial and a tribulation in itself, right? Those 3 years. Yeah.
I just remember feeling like such a failure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all my life I've been a big failure. Prior to up to prison,
Okay.
I thought getting married was my first win. Right? I'm thinking like I desperately wanted to leave that lifestyle
Yeah.
alone, but that's all I knew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so back then, when I did stuff, it only affected me.
Yeah.
I never had something happen and then see it affect my entire family because I never had
yeah,
a family.
yeah.
I've only been married less 10 months or so.
Yeah.
I've never had a family. So when I got married at 22 years old, I kind of felt like, man, did I make a mistake? You know, I'm too young to be getting married. And then my boys are in my ear like, hey, man, let's go here, let's go there, like we normally do. And I'm like, I'm fighting the urges to go in the street thinking I'm missing something.
Yeah.
But, you know, I got this new baby here. I'm a husband. I don't know how to be a husband.
Right.
I don't know how to be a dad. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to learn these things and at the same time trying to entertain, you know, because they used to call me Indo when I was in the streets and trying to entertain, still being Indo and then being this married man, which it
ain't gonna work like
no, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work. And I found out in the hardest way it won't work. So when I remember when I had to take the sentence and you know, I didn't want to take it. My lawyer was like, hey, man, we've been fighting on this case for 3 years. If you want to go to trial, we can go to trial. I'm just letting you know, we're going to lose. After 5 years, you're going to be saying, man, I could be going home. After 10 years, you're going to say, 5 years ago, I could have went home, so on and so forth. So I felt pressured to just take the deal.
For sure. I don't think anybody would.
Yeah, so when I did, I basically told my wife, I was like, you know what? I messed up. I'm thinking she's Allie. You know what I'm saying?
Naturally.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just said, just promise to bring my kid to see me. And
Yeah.
then she was like, my wife, who is
What's your wife's name?
my wife is LaQuesta.
LaQuesta. Okay.
She is the most down loyal person in the world because people wouldn't even see this version of me if it wasn't for her. And the reason why I say that is because had she left me, I might have been in the mindset of, you know what, F the world.
I'm gonna just go back.
You know, F the world. You know, nobody cares. I didn't have nothing to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? But when my wife told me, what kind of woman would I be if I left you now? You know, I took my vows seriously because she was a preacher's kid, and then her parents supported her on supporting me. And
Which I'm sure made it a lot easier.
it made it a lot
Obviously.
easier, but also tough because me being a parent now,
Yeah.
if my daughter
You
had
were
came
like,
to me
nah,
with somebody
you
like
right.
that, I'd been like, nah, leave that dude. We got you, baby.
But
for
damn,
sure.
no, I'm different.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm real.
And yeah, so for her to really, and then another thing that she stayed with me because she said she's seen the potential in me. She said, I know this is not who you are.
Yeah.
And so my mindset is that I can't let her down.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a failure like my father was. I remember how it felt not having a dad there. And I didn't want my daughter to experience that same feeling. And so I knew in order to be a good dad, I had to first become a man. And I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah.
Because my version of what a man was
Yeah.
was
in the streets.
slaying all the females, having,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
everything that isn't a man.
Correct.
But I didn't know that. And so during my time, you know, I went in at 22, came home at 31. Went in at 26, came home at 31. I got married when I was 22. And so I knew I had to make her proud.
Yeah.
I had to make my daughter, I wanted my daughter to be proud of me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I went in there and figured, well, let me get a trade. I went and played with masonry for a minute and thought to myself, I can't just see myself doing this. And then went into welding and come to find out I was good at it. And
welding is a skill, boy, especially nowadays.
yeah, and I didn't know
What it would become.
I didn't know what it would become, and I didn't even know if they would even accept because I just stayed welding like for about 4 years in there because I wanted to be my hand to be warm and ready
Yeah.
for when it's time. And so, like I said, I wrote letters to prospective employers while I was in prison,
Smart.
and a lot of people was like, "Why are you doing that, dude? They're gonna see Folsom prison inmate on the envelope." And
Yeah.
but to me, I wanted them to know I was an inmate because I didn't want to have to get beyond that hurdle
Yeah.
personally. I wanted you to already know, look, I've been some trouble. Take a chance on me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so when I wrote this one guy, I came out, got my license, did all this little things I needed to do, went to the Union Hall in Benicia, and the lady, basically, I filled out all the paperwork. Lady gave me this packet. Basically, you got to go find somebody to sponsor you.
Okay.
And I was just like,
For like the training?
right, yeah.
Okay.
For the apprenticeship. And so I was just like, hey, I didn't know this was going to go like this. I got to go find somebody to...
I thought you were just going to give me a job.
Right. So then I turned back around and because I had the letter still from the guy. And he basically said, when you get out, come see me.
Oh,
and so I
okay.
said, hey, I got this letter from this guy that's name is on the building. And then she took the letter, looked at it, went to the office. I seen him poke his head out. And then he basically came out and told me, let me see what I could do.
Yeah.
So I get in my car, leave to
Yeah.
go home, stopped at the gas station. Next thing you know, I get a call from him. He's like, you ready to go to work tomorrow? And
Hell yeah.
been working ever since. And the welding is what got me, because I'm this apprentice. Normally apprentices, they come in with nothing but with the training you get from the apprenticeship.
Yeah.
But I'm this apprentice with like 30 certifications.
Yeah.
And so it kind of catapulted me a little bit. I got out there and started welding, and the welding got me really recognized, jumped into a foreman position, like a lead man position before I graduated as an apprentice, and then became a foreman, then general foreman. And then a couple years ago, they just called me out of the blue and said, hey, what do you think about working in the office as a project manager? I was like, oh, okay. I figured, I'm 51. I was almost 50 at the time. I figured,
Yeah.
I wasn't doing much physical.
Yeah. More management.
Yeah, I was just blueprints, delegating duty and stuff like that in the field. But, it was cool. And, part of the thing that gave me the nod is because I had a degree. And so that was my... like getting a degree. I got a degree in 2014. Me and my wife went back to school together and graduated together.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
And so, that was my first cap and gown moment because I never graduated high school.
okay.
I got a
You did your
GED.
GED?
Yeah. Yeah, so that was real special, especially to see my daughter
Right.
and my son to see that, And so we all got degrees. My daughter, she one up us. She has her master's degree.
Okay.
But it just makes me feel good about just one of the things I want to do with my wife is break generational curses.
Yeah.
One of them being divorce. And so, making it through that 5-year prison system. Because honestly, I didn't think my wife would stay.
For sure.
I know she had the intentions.
I think most of us
But I
probably.
think the pressure
For
of
sure.
just being alone,
Right.
trying to raise kids by yourself, because I was in there with a lot of guys that got Dear John letters, you know what I'm saying? And once I got about 3.5 years, I figured, okay, she's good now. Only got a
It'd be
year
crazy
and a half
to
left.
leave
Yeah, right. Right? You don't know what I could become. And so it was
Yeah.
crazy. 9/11, bro. I just wanted this random thought. So 9/11 happened when I was in prison.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I was so spooked
Yeah.
because I didn't know what was going to happen to us. I didn't know if the world was going to end.
Yeah.
Right.
And this was one of the thoughts I had, man, that, wow, the world is about to end and my wife and community will never see this changed version of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really had those thoughts like, dang, man, I was really gonna show him. I was really gonna show him. And I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm thinking the world's gonna end.
I
They
mean,
got us
well,
on
yeah,
lockdown.
I mean, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm looking at
Flights
the TV
can't
all
fly,
day, and I'm
yeah.
just like, what? The second one? I was like, oh man, it's over. You know what I mean? So, you know, as we know, of course that didn't happen, but yeah, man, it was my wife believing in me enough to stay dedicated to our marriage was enough for me to believe in myself, because I never really did. I just kind of, my life was, like I said, I didn't value it. I used to do things that would put my life in jeopardy. Like I never said it like that, but I never cared if I lived or died. I didn't have anything to really live for.
Right.
Yeah.
When I had a family, it gave me purpose and it gave me identity.
Right.
You know what I mean? And something that I never had before, so I didn't know how to handle it. You know, how do I navigate this thing?
Right.
So I knew I had to get myself together, because now I got to get out and I got to lead a family. You know what I'm saying? I got to become the man.
Right.
You know, and there is no grace period.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like I couldn't get out and say, okay, I'm gonna go to school, and I had to get out and start making money right away, because luckily my in-laws were there, so they took my family in, took care of them, which was really helpful.
Yeah.
And then a month before I came home, my wife got us a little rental spot, and you know, it was on and cracking, but yeah, it was definitely, I always give her the most gratitude for dedicating her life to her family, man. Mainly me, and you know, I'm glad I was able to come back and actually do what I said I was gonna do.
For sure.
So,
I love the, you know, for the last probably 10 minutes or so, like the words that you shared and speaking, and the tone when speaking about your wife is dope. I want to share a thought. What was your wife's name again?
LaQuessa.
LaQuessa.
Yes.
LaQuessa. So this is the L3 Perspective podcast. So we talk about three major elements: life, love, leadership. I just want to say on behalf of the L3 Perspective that when you and Larry experienced life, right, and going through that challenge, it took a lot of love to be planted. And for you to have the leadership to see what you've seen in Larry at that age and to still be committed to making it work and continuing on with the vows is such a blessing. And we don't see that in our community enough. And so we just want to give you a shout out, a special shout out, and say thank you, because it's women like you who are wives to men like us that experience and go through what we go through as young men, as teenagers to young adults. And you, women like you, help us to become that next best version of ourselves so that we can pour back into the next generation. So thank you very much for pouring into Larry and seeing what you've seen in him.
Yep.
So
I appreciate
absolutely,
that.
Of course.
absolutely.
And so talking about like this evolution that's happened, what does the future look like for you? What are the projects you're gonna be big projects you're gonna be working on? Let's say the next year. Is there anything new? Anything you're growing?
Yeah, so the one thing I really take pride in is our Juneteenth.
Okay.
That we're gonna start meeting as soon as next month.
Okay.
We start in January, and it's a great 2-day event, man. And we just take pride in that because it's just our day to recognize us, and so I put a lot of energy and effort into that. Also, so that's one of the biggest events, and then also we have the 707 reunion barbecue, which this will be coming on the 8th year.
Okay.
We do it every second every second Saturday in August.
Okay.
And basically we come together, give away backpacks, free food.
Okay.
It's music. It's a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah.
And people fly in for this event.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's
so,
cool.
I mean, you wind up seeing people that you haven't seen in like 30, 40 years. You know what I mean? So it's people that know, that just been looking in the
Yeah.
community,
Right. Yeah.
even if they're way across the country through Facebook. And then when we start putting the blast out there that the barbecue is coming, everybody gets real excited about it. And every year it's grown.
That's cool.
Like it's just super big now. So shout out to my brother Joey Guillory.
Nice.
He's the founder of that. But yeah, we that's one thing we look forward to. Of course, we do the toy drive. So I those are the three major events, which is Juneteenth, the 707 barbecue, and Christmas. And then we do a little sprinkling here and there, little events in between. But one thing I try not to do, which is I've made a big mistake, and I learned from that doing Operation Thugs, is never take on too much.
Yeah.
Because sometimes less is more.
Right.
And when you start to put your hand in too many pots, you start to diminish your effect on each project because you're pulled too thin. So me scaling back and making sure I have enough to pour into the projects that are important to me.
Right.
And then also I love to also collaborate. Like I don't care if I gotta come and help clean up. I just love to help people, and that's really my passion, is just to help people. If I see you doing something great and I got some time and I could be of some assistance to you, that's how I get involved with people like Jamila and get involved with people like Wordsmith, because they're all different branches doing different things, but I have something I can offer, then I'm going to do that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what does that future look like? Is it the t-shirt business? Is it more public speaking? Because I know you've gone into juvenile hall to do that mentorship with Wordsmith and stuff like that. What is there more that comes into that?
It's more that comes into that. I definitely want to expand my clothing business.
Okay.
That's,
You got to get some podcast shirts.
yeah. I definitely want to do that. My mother-in-law has moved in with us, and she's a amazing seamstress.
Okay.
Oh.
So I want to, and her husband just passed in January, so we brought her out here with us, and I just want her to feel some value. You know what I mean? And she's so talented. I want to just get her out there and keep her busy. So trying to build this into like a family business.
That'd be cool.
Because my daughter, she also does some things.
Okay.
And then just trying to build that, because like I said, I'm coming to the end of my career.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of guy that just goes
Just sit around.
down. You know what I
We
mean?
talk about that a lot.
I want to have stuff ready for me to jump into. And like I said, when I'm at work, I'm so much community. I'm thinking about my business. I'm thinking about stuff in the community. And work seems just to be a distraction at this point, because I'm looking forward.
Right.
I'm not in the middle of my career where I got like years and years and years to go. It's kind of up to me when I want to pull the trigger. But, I got to make sure everything is right before I do that, and, be responsible. But, it's what pays the bills right now. So
There you go.
until then, but yeah, so I want to be more involved with the youth. Like Jamila, she has a flexibility of being available
Right.
during the week.
Yeah.
That's when everything happens.
Yeah.
So during the week between 7 and 3:30, 4 o'clock, that's my opportune time.
Correct.
And
Right.
because I work, I can't be involved like I want to. I could. There's so much available to me that's been offered, but I'm like, man, that's when I work.
Yeah.
So definitely in the future, is that's what I see me being more involved with the youth. Not necessarily always
Of course.
at-risk youth.
Yeah.
Just youth in general.
For sure.
I would love to keep youth.
Exactly, from being at
becoming
risk.
at risk. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because at risk, we've already failed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to also deal with the kids that aren't failing. For
sure.
To keep them from
Yeah.
failing. And so I really want to be involved with that. Having my grandson coming up, I just want to be out there and be the change I want to see. I don't want to just talk about what needs to change. I want to give some input. I want to put some labor into. So just being more involved with the community, because I have more time. And time is a thing that's a constraint for me. And so that's why I try to. So when I
for
first
all of
started
us.
my when I first started my clothing business, I would chase every vendor event. I'm going
course.
to everything.
Yeah.
Damn near every weekend was a
Right.
vendor event. That's
Wife's
a
like,
very
"All right, look,
tough
bro."
job, though.
Right. Especially when you got a family.
That's a very tough job to do the pop-ups. And so, but it's necessary because you have to get the brand out there.
Yeah.
Okay, then I got to a point to where I said, okay, the brand is out there. Now I could be a little more selective on the vendor events I want because, people already know what I do. Not to say that
Right.
anything, I can't expose my business to
Yeah.
somebody else, but that's very challenging. And then it also takes away from opportunities like this. If I had a vendor event, I could have been like, oh man, on my Saturdays taking and all that. So
Yeah.
it's afforded me the opportunity to open up some time to do other things I want to do. So yeah, just getting more involved with the youth, getting more involved with these programs, and just it's a lot of stuff I want to do in politics.
Okay.
Not necessarily being having a position,
Got you.
Okay.
but I have a lot
being
of
involved.
yeah, but being involved because I have a lot of friends that have political seats
Yeah.
from the mayor on down.
Right.
Yeah.
And but me personally, I know politics gets. I don't like the dirty side of it. And that's what keeps me
Yeah.
from getting involved too much.
Yeah.
Is because when I do start getting around them,
Right.
I'll be like the chatter, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, this is what y'all do.
Right.
Like I said, okay, yeah,
Air
nah.
fryer.
Yeah. No. Yeah. My mind went there.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm cool
Yeah.
because a lot of people have always encouraged me, hey man, you need to run for a seat. Even Catherine Moore, she's even told me that she would support me doing that, and I've flirted with the idea, but I'm not a politician.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play my part
For sure.
and I will assist the politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How I can,
Yeah.
and how I have been. But I think that's as far as
sure.
I'll go with
For
that.
sure. Still having a
People
voice
always
at
say
the
that
table.
to G. They're like, "Oh, I could see you in politics." He's like, "Nah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna play my part."
Yeah. I'm gonna find another way to still have a
It's-
voice at
it's
the
too,
table.
It's too nasty, man, for
Yeah.
me, and I don't really play those games like that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I think I'm a little too authentic for that realm. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? I
Yeah.
think I would offend too many people because I don't like to pretend.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And in the space I am now, I could feel how I want to feel and don't have to feel any type of way.
sure.
If you don't like what I say, you don't like what I stand for, then you could keep going. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right.
And my intentions are pure. You know what I
Right.
mean? I operate in love.
Right.
Well, one thing I'm not going to do, because I've been in an environment like church,
Right.
where there's a lot of it's a lot of pretending going on, and
Cloak and dagger stuff.
yeah, and so I was really involved in that life, and it kind of almost reminds me of politics. But even though there's a lot of politics in church behind the wall, I mean, coming as a just coming sitting in the pew,
Yeah.
it's a whole different ball game than being involved.
Right.
What goes
Behind
on?
the
It's
scenes,
kind of
yeah.
like an analogy that TD Jakes used one time. He said it's like coming to a restaurant. As the customer, hey, how you doing? Welcome in. This, that, and the other. Everything's pleasant.
Yeah.
But you don't know what's going on in
Yeah,
the
behind the
kitchen.
scenes, like, get
In the
faster,
kitchen,
Yeah.
in the kitchen, they're yelling, they're cussing, they're doing all this type of
Right.
stuff. But by the time that plate comes to you, all you see is a smile. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like how church is. And so that kind of, being involved like that, it kind of pushed me away from that.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Okay. So, youth, very heavy community leader. You mentioned your grandson. So I'll end it. We'll wrap it up with this question. In 60 seconds to 120 seconds, choose one of these three words and share some insight, whatever's on your heart, to your grandson and the future grandson. Life, love, or leadership. Pick one of those three and share whatever's on your mind to your grandson. As far as like knowledge or whatever pops up in your mind and that sits on your heart to say, hey, if I want to share this thought with my grandson and or other youth out there, pick one of those three words.
I would probably say leadership. To me, leadership is important because I know they say in order to be a leader, you have to first become a follower. And I understand that concept. But I want my grandson to always lead with his own mind and lead with his own heart.
Okay.
I don't want him to feel like he has to be like someone else. And leaders normally stand out because they're a little different than everybody else. And so I want my grandson to keep his own identity rather than being a follower. Because followers, I mean, depending on who you're following, it's not always a good thing, but I always want him to have his own voice.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. There's a saying that says, in the heart of the youth lies the potential for greatness.
Yes.
And so I extend those words to your grandson and the youth
Thank
that you
you.
serve as well. And just very grateful for your time away from the family to come and connect
sure.
here at the L3.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, as we
So,
wrap up, let people know where they can find you, how to order, all that stuff. I know we're gonna order
sure,
some,
yeah.
get the logo. You feel me? But this is your time to really talk about your business and promote, you, Real, anything.
Yeah, so you can find me at real_Fairfield on Instagram. I got a Linktree, Linktree/RealFairfield. I'm on Facebook, and you can order through any of those means. Inbox, you can hit the Linktree. You can go on Instagram, and or you can text me 707-688-9700. Customer service is my number one.
There you go.
Yeah, my customer service is excellent, and that's one of the reasons why I have so many repeat customers because I guarantee quality, and I make sure they're taken care of, and I'm pretty fast. So
Customer service is like a dying art nowadays.
yeah, I know how I feel. And I know I want to make my customers feel valued. So I always, if there's a flaw, I like mine perfect. So if there's anything wrong, I tell them I'll replace it or whatever. I just really like for my stuff to be right.
Yeah.
And that's how you keep people coming back.
For sure. Excellence or nothing.
Right.
That's-
Facts.
That's it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But that being said, we appreciate you, Larry.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Especially on your one weekend right now. So, but that's it. That's what we got.
Yes, sir.
Y'all
Yeah,
enjoy.
I was honored, man. I was really honored by you guys asking me to come here, and thank you for this experience.
Yeah.
The first podcast.
Yeah,
I've
that
been
cherry
at
pop, baby.
live. so I really appreciate this. This kind of set this ups the bar for everybody else coming
that's what
behind
it's
you. Now it's like,
supposed to do.
dude, come on, man.
Let's go.
You got to step your game
Yeah,
up. But
well,
it's all good.
You tell me to record here and we good. But that being said, we appreciate y'all. Hit up Larry, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.
Peace.
So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is
I was afraid, I didn't know what to do. A lot of us be coming in it.
And what I'll say was amazing to me was
Season 2. Welcome back to the L3 Perspective. My name is Glenn Davis. As you know, I'm sitting here with my co-host, Cameron Macias.
Coach Cam.
L3 Perspective, as you know, we talk about life, love, leadership.
As we talked about in the past, like, love, share, subscribe. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Because at the end of the day, we do it for you guys.